Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.
Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? It is yours truly, Timothy J. Jones. And yes, I am the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Really do appreciate your time. Much love to everybody that's filing in right now. Shouts out to the chat. Shouts out to you if you're listening, or rather at work, at home, wherever you are, wherever you may be. I really do appreciate the State of the Saints podcast being in your rotation. It's been a few days since I did a podcast, and if you've been following the show, you already know, just been dealing with some little health issues. And then on top of that, I never want to be disingenuous when I do podcasts, and, I'm not taking shots at anybody, but it's just me personally. I just feel like if I'm not going to give everything I have, I'd rather not do a podcast at all. And honestly, I just felt like Saints news was just, kind of redundant. Like, keep on saying the same thing over and over again. And, I don't want to be like one of those people that just do shows just to get monetized or just so people can watch. Like, I'd rather be my true, authentic self every time I get behind this microphone and in front of this camera here. So thank you all so much for being here. Really do appreciate it. Excited to talk to you all about Saints mandatory minicamp. Got some news coming out of New Orleans, a lot of things that need to be discussed, a lot of topics to talk about, and these are the type of shows that I like. But before I get started, I want to let everybody know that on Friday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, I will be going live on Bleacher Report, talking a little bit more about Saints minicamp, getting into some of those stories and also some of the things that we have learned over the last couple of days in regards to the team, and also just getting us prepared for the season. We know that the New Orleans Saints will be traveling to California on July 24th is the start of training camp for the Black and Gold. So there's a lot of stuff that's going to be talked about. So I'm excited about it. June is always kind of a dead time because news stories are few and far in between, but I think we're about to hit the ground running very, very soon. So shouts out to everybody here. Shouts out to everybody that's trying to be a part of the show. If you're new here, you don't know how to get involved with the show, all you have to do is put those comments in the chat. Hey, what's going on? It's TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast, and we're about to do what it do, baby. You probably have something to say about the black and gold that's burning hard in your soul. Take those fingers, give them the working. Put them comments in the chat.
Put those comments, put them in the chat.
All you got to do is go ahead and put them things in the chat.
I want to hear what you got to say.
I want to hear from you.
Talk to me and not so bad.
Oh, you ain't got to worry about it. All you got to do is talk to me. I talk back to you now.
Put those comments, put them in the chat.
All you got to do is put them comments in the chat.
I want to hear what you got to say.
I want to hear from you.
Talk to me and not talk back.
Talk to me. I guarantee you, I'm going to talk right back to you.
Nice.
That's right. All you have to do is put those comments in the chat. And of course, everybody can't make it to the live. Everybody can't make it, but they show support when the show is all said and done. So with that being said, shouts out to the after show boys.
Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out to them after show boys. Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out to them after show boys. boys, they be tweeting and be posting. They be tweeting and be posting. They be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys, they be tweeting and be posting. They be tweeting and be posting. They be tweeting. Yeah, them after show boys.
And yes, the After Show Boys t-shirts will be out very, very soon. So the ASB t-shirts, the SG t-shirts will be out soon. So when they come out, pick one up if you like. All right. But let's go ahead and get into it. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Saints minicamp. And there's a lot of things to be talked about. Of course, we know what mandatory minicamp is all about. We know that the biggest stories coming out of OTAs was some of the players that were not present. The players that everybody kind of focused in on were two. That was Alvin Kamara and Marshon Lattimore. Now, with Alvin Kamara, Alvin Kamara, I didn't really hear that much about Alvin not being there. I really didn't. It mostly focused on Marshon Lattimore. And Marshon Lattimore, of course, we know that his name has been linked to trade rumors and a lot of things that have been going on. But Marshon Lattimore showed up for mandatory minicamp, and so did Alvin Kamara. I did not worry about this at all. Like, honestly, I know people just try to worry themselves to death about the New Orleans Saints. They spend a lot of time on X and other social media platforms, and they're all concerned and trying to create these invisible storylines about, these guys aren't committed to the team. They don't love the team. They don't appreciate it. Look, it's amazing to me. And get in where you fit in. I don't care if I'm hurting your feelings. It's amazing to me how people are ready to jump on these players and talk about how these players aren't committed to the team and how these players don't show up and all these different things. But we rarely ever have forums about how the team treats these players or what makes these players want to do their own thing outside of the facility. What would make this player not be interested in doing this or that? I just never understood that. Like, somebody really came at me on X because I said I didn't worry about Marshon Lattimore attending mandatory minicamp. Because if you follow Marshon Lattimore, like, man, he always at the mandatory stuff. And so is Alvin Kamara. But it was just this long spiel about Marshon Lattimore not being committed and him being injured and all this type of stuff. And I get it. Like, he's been injured. But at the same time, I'm like, this guy is an impactful player. And the reason why we feel so comfortable about the secondary in the first place, it started with Marshon Lattimore. I'm not one of those people that just going to throw somebody away because maybe they do something that I don't like. Or maybe I'm just one of those people that just follow and believe everything that the team says. I'm not that person. If I feel like the team is right, if I feel like the team is just in what they're doing, I'll support it. But there are times where the player always seems to be thrown under the bus. And maybe it's because some of the stories that are coming out, and I'm not pointing at anybody, but there are stories that come out about these players that can be looked at as hit pieces. And you don't have individuals that will decipher it and wonder, what is the real deal, Holyfield, about this story coming out? Is it that people, that the reporter wants you to know? Or is it that they want to stay in the good graces of the organization, so they put these hit pieces out in order for you, the reader, to have an opinion about a player? Me personally, all I know is Marshon Lattimore is the greatest cornerback the New Orleans Saints have ever had. I don't care who comes through the door. I don't care how well somebody played. I don't care who had that pass deflection. I don't care what you've been reading on Twitter. This guy's the greatest cornerback the New Orleans Saints have ever had. And people are so quick to throw things away when things become better. They are so quick to say, oh, we don't need that anymore. You need Marshon Lattimore. You need him. Now, these guys can pick up the slack while he's gone. But if Marshon Lattimore is no longer a part of the team, you no longer have that one cornerback that can neutralize the field. I know we're looking at Kool-Aid McKinstry, but he has yet to play in a meaningful game in the National Football League. And I know Paulson Adebo took strides in the right direction last season, but it's not to a point where I'm comfortable in saying that either one of those gentlemen, including Alontae Taylor, who is very talented in his own right, none of those gentlemen, to me, can hold a candle to Marshon Lattimore and what he has meant to this Saints organization and the secondary. But Marshon Lattimore spoke to the media, talked a little bit about being back with the New Orleans Saints, attending mandatory minicamp, didn't once again take part in OTAs, but he's glad to be back with the team.
Feel good to be around everybody. I missed it being here. Just around the players. All the just everything. The atmosphere. I just been chilling. At home, relaxing, and trying to get right for this. Trying to get used. Well, I'm trying to get used to this weather. It's too hot out here. I'm trying to, but I'm glad to be back though.
So there you have it. I mean, the guy is happy to be back. He wants to be with the team. Marshon Lattimore is not the guy that phones it in or quits. I don't know where the hell that narrative is coming from, but it just seems like to me a guy starts to get injured, then the next thing you know, you're questioning their commitment. You're questioning the fact that they want to play for the team. Look, there are a lot of great reporters that report on the New Orleans Saints, but I'm smart enough to know there are some people out there that got hidden agendas and they want to maintain their position. And the stories about Marshon Lattimore, honestly, have been completely unfair because a lot of people have taken these stories and run with them and created their own narrative about it. But the guy's happy to be back. He's excited to be back. And, he's also talked about some of the trade rumors, right? We heard about it. Oh, Marshon Lattimore getting traded to the Texans. Oh, the top 5 destinations for Marshon Lattimore. Like all these different things. This guy heard it. Maybe he ain't on social media heavily, but the guy hears the rumor innuendo. And he talked a little bit about that.
I really don't care, to be honest, because it is what it is. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. If not, then I'm here. So I really don't care, to be honest, because it is what it is. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. If not, then I'm here. So I really don't get into it. I really don't feed into it, to be honest. I talked to DA already, and we good. So everything else is just talk to me.
Was it annoying at all?
I don't care. I really don't. I ain't gonna lie.
So I don't know if you all heard that or not, but it was skipping on my end. Did you all get that clip? I just want to know, did you all get that clip? I just want to make sure because it was skipping on my end. I didn't get an opportunity to know if you all seen it or not. So if you didn't, basically he just said that he's not concerned about the trade rumors. He's not concerned about some of the things that has transpired. All this stuff. Like he does not care. And also he understands the business aspect of the game. It's a business. That is something that we as onlookers and as fans and writers, etc., have to understand. It is a business. And these guys understand that. No matter how much you put forth on the field, a team, if they feel like there's an attractive offer, they will shop you. They will trade you. Or if they feel like you're too rich for their blood, no matter how talented you are, they'll find somebody else that they feel like can replace you at a lower rate. Case in point, Justin Simmons. The fact that Justin Simmons, the safety for the Denver Broncos, or was the safety for the Denver Broncos, is still on the street as I speak these words, that's a testament to how the NFL is. It's a business, right? That guy's by far one of the best and most talented safeties in football, and he's on the street. So I say that to say this. this guy understands it. He understands that it's a business, and he's not concerned about it. And neither should we. Like whatever happens is going to happen. But I do not believe that they're going to trade Marshon Lattimore. To me, it would be a mistake, and I think they know that. And it has nothing to do with the injuries because to me, I think they could trade him, and the team would be happy to have him. They're not looking at the injuries because they feel like if he's upright and he can give them levels of production that is needed and necessary, then guess what? Like we'll be happy to have him. But he also talked a little bit about the friction between him and head coach Dennis Allen. And he talked about how they reconcile.
It was just we had a situation, a personal situation that we worked through, but it wasn't like I wanted to leave or he wanted me to leave and nothing like that. It was just I don't know how y'all looked at it, but it was just a situation that happened personally. But it wasn't nothing like that. Like I wanted to leave. I told him I don't want to leave now.
And yeah, so from this point forward, like you said, if something happens, but you feel all in, committed.
For sure. I'm here. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta be here. I gotta be present. I'm not thinking about if I'm gonna get traded or not, nothing like that. I don't really care.
So he's all in. And I look, shouts out to Mike Triplett. I look, but Marshon Lattimore does not strike me as a guy that just quits and gives up. Like the guy, regardless of what the situation is, he fights hard, he battles on the field, and he wants to be one of the best. And, I don't think this guy has already been paid. And before he was injured, he was flirting with all-pro season. Like, I don't know if people understand this, but he was playing at a very high level. Like, we tend to forget those things because of the injury, but he was playing at a high level. He probably was playing better than he probably ever has, probably for the exception of 2017, his rookie season. He is committed to whatever happens. It happens, but he's committed to the team, and that's what you want to hear, as a fan. You want to hear that he's committed to the team. You want to, feel like he's not going to phone it in. And I don't think that's going to happen, man. I just think that it's been a huge misunderstanding. I'm glad that they worked it out. And hopefully Marshon Lattimore can go back to being that elite cornerback that the Saints need because, you can do so many different things defensively when you have a cornerback with his skill set to be able to neutralize the wide receivers. But let me go ahead and read some of your comments, and then we'll get back into the clips. Thank you all for being here once again. Really do appreciate this. I'll go ahead and I'll start with Slim South says, Laddie Daddy is that dog on his side of the field. Yeah, he is. He's a talented player. And, regardless of how you try to scheme and all that kind of stuff, it's a luxury and it's such convenience to have somebody that can be able to neutralize the field like he does. When you have a player like that, you can do so many different things defensively. When he's not out there, you gotta kind of change it up. Speak nothing but facts, says Key Stalwart. Tyrell says, I wasn't worried about Lattimore and AK not showing up. They always come through. I'm excited to see the team play already. Yeah, Tyrell, look, I wasn't concerned about it at all. I will get into the Alvin Kamara clips in just a second. But, I wasn't concerned, man. These guys are rich. It's not like they can't pay for top of the line strength and conditioning coaches, top of the line equipment where they can work off campus. Like this isn't one of those situations like when you're in high school, right? You had to go to the gym because that was the only one that was accessible to you, unless you were like, grew up with a little bit of privilege and your mom had a membership to Lifetime Fitness or something. But, as for me, growing up in the Ninth Ward in New Orleans, my uncles, they had a little workout kit they used to sit on my grandmother's deck in the backyard. But for the most part, I had to go to the gym at Carver High School to work out. Like that was the thing. But it's not like that, all right? These guys are rich. They can pay for all these different things and all this different treatment. So I wasn't concerned about it. And then we also know the power of technology. Like Alvin talked about that a little bit. I don't have that clip, but he talked a little bit about it. You know, he talked about still being present with the team, even though he was away. Like all of this different technology that we have. I'll give you all an example. You know, I work for WLGI 90.9 out here in South Carolina. And there are some times where, well, let me backtrack. My commute from my house to the radio station is about 45 minutes to an hour. And there are times where I don't feel like driving. You know, I'm being honest. And there are a lot of things that be going on, and I can do my live broadcast remotely right from my house on the same computer that I'm using to talk to you on the same microphone. So these guys have all this different type of technology where they can actually see the plays and all 22 and all that kind of stuff in the 7-on-7s. Like they can see all this stuff. So to me, it's not like how it used to be back in the day when Bobby Hebert was the quarterback, where you know if you were missing, like you were missing. Like there was no social media, there was no Microsoft Pro, there was none of this stuff, right? That we hold near and dear to our hearts today. But these guys have all these different things at their disposal. So I expected for them to come in tip-top shape and have knowledge of what's going on. If you're Marshon Lattimore, you already know what's going on. It's a little different with Alvin Kamara because you're, going through a different offense. But defensively, I mean, Marshon Lattimore and Dennis Allen have been together Marshon's entire career. So for him to for him to be missing, I don't think it's that big of a deal. He probably knows that defense like the back of his hand. Lattimore said that he has not gotten hurt. He felt he was an all-pro trajectory. Yeah. If he didn't get hurt, he was all pro. He was all pro. He was playing at a high level. He was starting to get recognition. Even though the Saints were like hitting and missing, they still were giving him credit. And look, if you don't want to look at, Marshon Lattimore because of the injuries that he sustained over the last couple of years, I just encourage you to listen to some of these players. Anytime a wide receiver starts talking about who are the best cornerbacks that you lined up against, Marshon Lattimore's name always comes up. And I ain't just talking about and no disrespect, but the Traquan Smith, not elite. I'm talking about CeeDee Lambs, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, some of the guys that you pick every single week to start in your fantasy league. And these guys talk about how Marshon Lattimore is one of the best of the best. So to me, I'm going to take their word for it. And not just somebody that probably have some axe to grind or just want a good boy and a pat on the head from upper management. Bump all that. This guy is talented. If you don't understand that, then I don't know what to tell you. The media loves to paint some bad pictures on certain players. Yeah, I mean, number one, because it gets people attention, right? People always want to feel like they're knowing something that other people don't, right? Oh, you getting the inside scoop. Oh, you figuring it, like everybody wants that, right? And then you have the power of an imagination, right? So if somebody tells you, oh, this person didn't show up, oh, he don't want to be here. If he don't want to be here, then he needs to leave. Like, what? Guy could have been sick. Wife could have been sick. Kids could have been sick, but they ain't there. And people just run with these narratives. Like, to me, I just think that there's some players that you just give the BOD, the benefit of the doubt. And he's one of them. Because anytime that he's available, when have you ever seen Marshon Lattimore of our guys do anything stupid and get arrested before the season. Who that? Yeah, look, that's a whole different can of worms, right? I mean, that's when you want to make sure that you have guys with high character. And I know sometimes guys make boneheaded mistakes, but you also have to look at the fact that these guys are young. Now, I know everybody on the Saints team is not a spring chicken. Like Cam Jordans, like Mario Davis. If those guys get in trouble, that'll be a shock, right? That would be shocking. I expect for these guys to go home and be at the house after they finish practice. You trying to tag in. Your wife need a break. Like I expect, for those guys to carry themselves. But you also have to look at the fact that these guys are 20, 21 years old, right? 25, 26 years old. And you feel invincible at times, right? You got the nicest car, right? You rocking the nicest jewelry. Like shoot, you rarely ever hear the word no from time to time. Like you might hear it, but for the most part, people trying to get in your good graces. And that there is this level of invincibility that you may feel. Sometimes guys just make crazy mistakes. Because think about this. When you were 20, 21 years old, I'm going to just put myself in this perspective, in this situation. I'll leave you out of it. When I was 19, 20, 21 years old, sophomore, junior, senior at Jackson State University, only thing I was really concerned about after, I studied was where the girls was at, where the liquor at, and where the club at. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just being honest because that's where my mind was. And you got to think about these guys are young, man. And then you add millions of dollars on it. Like it's kind of hard to make the right decisions all the time. Now, I'm not saying you excuse some of the buffoonery and the tomfoolery out here, but I do understand that sometimes guys have to go through the motions in order for them to become who they are. There are times where guys might have that Oprah aha moment that nobody ever sees them at their lowest. And then there are times where a player might get caught up, just like the wide receiver, Rashid Rice, for the Kansas City Chiefs, riding an expensive car, like, man, like just stuff like that, or Henry Ruggs, where it can end like with you getting jail time. But sometimes these guys are going to make mistakes. Hopefully it's not a mistake that is going to, cost them their career or some, give them some jail time. I still have my moments, but I'm trying, TJ. I think we all have our moments, Cartel. Look, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect at all. Like everybody makes mistakes. Nobody is always driving 10-2. You're always going to make mistakes, but it's about learning from your mistakes and getting better after you make those mistakes and not just chunking it up and saying, oh, it is what it is. Like it is what it is. Got a lot of people in a lot of bad situations. So you might want to learn from those situations. But we'll stop right there just for a second and we'll get into Alvin Kamara. Now, I mentioned Alvin Kamara along with Marshon Lattimore with two of the players that everybody was looking for. And the media asked questions about these two. And Alvin Kamara is indeed back. And we expect Alvin Kamara to be an integral part of this offense. So we see what this type of offense has done for guys like Dalvin Cook, have done for guys like Christian McCaffrey, offensive player of the year. And now as of today on Tuesday, he has been named the Madden cover boy, right? I mean, Christian McCaffrey has always been talented, but there was a brief period of time towards the end of his Carolina Panthers career that people thought that he was finished. And he goes to San Francisco under this offense and becomes one of the most dynamic players in NFL history. I mean, this guy's still scoring touchdowns to this day, right? I mean, consecutive touchdown records. Easily could have been MVP. To me, it seemed like they were trying to talk their way out of it. It always seemed like they're trying to find a way to give it to a quarterback. But this guy has always been talented. And people look at Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara kind of in the same light. The pass catching, run between the tackles, make people miss, elusivity. The list goes on and on. But Alvin Kamara spoke to the media a little bit about about the offense and learning something new.
Yeah, I mean, it feel different. You got different coaches, you got different faces in here. Obviously, I haven't been here, but I mean, I know what's going on. I think when you've been in this profession for a minute, you kind of some certain things don't change. Obviously, faces change, coaches change, but I mean, this game don't change. When I'm here, it's the same. I mean, it is what it is. When I leave, it's gonna be the same game. Like, I mean, I guess not, because the kickoff rule changed. It might be flag football or something, but it's the same. It's the same, man. But you get the differences come when you. I feel like the preparation and certain standards and things like that. That's when you get changed. Like when you hold yourself to a certain standard. When you prepared a certain way. Just little things like that.
So, like I said, I mean, it's a new offense. People are expecting Alvin Kamara to be a key part of this offense, along with Kendre Miller and Jamal Williams. And look, I don't think anything has happened to Alvin Kamara. To me, I feel like the Saints kind of shied away from the things that made him special. Like I don't know, man. It's almost like a person that's in a choir, and they lead a song, and everybody loves to hear them sing, and then all of a sudden, like, Sundays go by, and then all of a sudden this person leading the song, that person leading the song, and then you don't hear from the person that's dynamic for a while, and then all of a sudden people like, what happened to such and such? Well, they're in the back. Man, let them lead this solo. Like that's how I feel about Alvin. It's not the fact that Alvin fell off. People like to, I don't want to say people, but there are some people that feel like this guy fell off. But you got to look at the way that the Saints were running that offense during the time when Alvin Kamara was really like one of the best and looked at as one of the best of the best. But I feel like with this type of offense, Alvin can get back to being Alvin. And, I think that also you got to keep him intrigued as well. I mean, this isn't anything that I'm speculating. This is stuff that even he and Sean Payton have said about him. Like the fact that you got to keep him, involved, like keep him guessing. Like he's a football savant. Like, I don't know if people understand that or not. He's a football savant. Like he understands the concepts so quickly to a point where he becomes disinterested. It's almost like a kid that excels in a certain curriculum, right? And they start acting out or they become disinterested. Why? Because they finish their homework before everybody else. They finish their test before everybody else. They sitting outside while everybody else taking the test. That's how I feel about Alvin. But I feel like with a new offense that they're bringing in, a different philosophy than he's used to, the offense that he's ran since he got into the league in 2017, I think that it'll keep him interested. And I think you'll probably see a resurgence of Alvin Kamara in certain ways. Alvin Kamara is not that running between a tackle every down back. Like, he can do that, but don't expect for that to be his calling card. That's not how his bread is buttered. It's a luxury that he can actually do those things. But when you have a running back that is as talented as him, try to find ways to make sure that he shows the dynamics that he has. But anyway, we'll move on a little bit and talk a little bit about staying true. Like this is something that I felt like was very, very important, because people were speculating the commitment of Marshon and Alvin, right? But Alvin spoke a little bit about him not being at organized team activities and, where his mind was when he was away from the team.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've done to prepare. I understand what kind of the word has been, is doing something different and everybody being here, and I kind of just, for me, it was just I kind of just stuck to what I know. I don't think any of my teammates took offense to it, really. I still, like I said, I still talk to them. I talk to all these dudes, a lot of these dudes every other day, every day. it is what it is. Like, it's like, oh, well, there's different things pulling and this, that. Like, I had a family last year. It's not something that's pulling on me. Like, I work out 3 times before 1 o'clock. My daughter has swim lessons. Go do that. I eat lunch. I do it like I'm doing normal stuff. There's no extra stress. The most stressful thing for me right now is like my left rear tire has low pressure. Like, yeah, like that's like, you know what I'm saying? Everything else, I'm good. Like I feel great,
So, I mean, he mentioned about the tire and everything like that. Look, I can relate to that. I mean, how many of us, deal with those tires, man, especially if you stay in New Orleans, all them potholes in them streets. But anyway, look, this is a guy that understands that he has priorities. And I think this is very important. The reason why is very important, not that it kind of, it's like he's making an excuse. It shows us that these guys are human. They're human beings. Like, we look at them because they make millions of dollars and they do something that is just something that we all wish that we can do. We, catch a football, sack a quarterback, push a man, off the line. Like all these different things that we wish that we can do. We look at these guys as superhuman. But the key word is human. They deal with the same situations. They got to take care of their families. They got to make sure that their wife is happy. They got to make sure that their kids are happy. And when they're not involved in football, they're dealing with the same things we deal with. And it's also important, to look at the fact that it was mandatory and he was there. And these are 2 individuals, and I keep on putting these 2 guys together because this has been the story that everybody's been talking about. Alvin's not there. Marshon's not there. When have you ever seen these guys quit on a team? I never have. Now, I will say that there are times where Alvin will make business decisions, but when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, it makes perfect sense. He knows that if he turns it up the field and somebody tackle him and he, they go down wrong, he's out 4 to 6 weeks. He plays an important role for the team. So for that, it makes perfect sense to me. But at the end of the day, when the game is on the line and you need extra yards, I ain't never seen this dude run out of bounds and be like, I don't know about all that. Like it's times where, game second quarter, 14 and some change remaining, and maybe he'll run out of bounds. And sometimes I'll be like, man, why ain't turn it up? But looking at this team, like without Alvin Kamara offensively over the last couple of years, you basically have nothing. But I appreciate Alvin and his candor and how he talked about some of the things that he's dealing with. He talked about his daughter. Like, any first-time parents out there, like, I'm talking to you right now. Because, I was one. I'm 5 years into the game now, but there was a time where, I was scared to death. Like, I didn't know how to be a father. I didn't know how to change a diaper. I didn't know some of these things that I had to do. But now it's like, man, y'all see me, man. It's like, knowing my son is like, knowing the back of my hand. It just comes with time. And he talked about, him being comfortable, but he also wants to be there for his family. And for that, I can't knock that, especially like if it's optional. If it's optional, I'm choosing my family every time. If it's mandatory, I'll be there. But I think we just need to stop with these narratives about these dudes and not being committed to the team. Because these guys want to win just as much as we want to see them win. So I appreciate that. And the final clip that I have for you all is just about the offense as a whole. Like we talked about the offense, same offense since 2006 under Drew Brees and Sean Payton. All these guys that have been a part of this offense for, X amount of time, they know it. Alvin knows it, right? Alvin eats, sleeps, and breathes that West Coast offense that Sean Payton put together, right? He understands that. But now it's something completely different. But he also talked a little bit about how you can take, the comfortability for granted.
Like I said, I think all of us were a little comfortable. The guys that were here, that have been here. So just starting fresh and everybody starting at the same time, kind of with a different system. I think it'll be beneficial, especially because of what the system is.
So, there is a level of comfortability. Like we all deal with it, right? Like we all want to be comfortable. A lot of us sometimes, we think about leaving our job. I'll just use that as an example. You want to leave your job, but man, you put so many years into it. You know what a good snack's at in a break room. You know how to, I'm be honest, cut a little corners, what I'm saying, in order to do what you have to do. There are friendships that you developed at work. And also, once again, there's this comfortability of knowing what the heck you're doing. You go into a different environment and you have to learn stuff, and you get a little nervous. You wonder, can I master this? Eventually, like if you go to another job, you find out that you learn so many different things, and it becomes like the back of your hand. And in the job that you came from, you have a tendency of forgetting some of the practices that you did there. But the comfortability level keeps us in certain situations, whether it's football, relationships, jobs, etc. But sometimes you have to get outside your comfort zone. And it's a scary place, folks. It is. It is a scary place when you have to get outside your comfort zone. But sometimes getting outside your comfort zone, you maximize your full potential. And that's what I feel like the Saints can do. They are embarking on a new journey offensively that can be beneficial to this team. Now, I don't know what this team is going to look like in 2024. The analytics speak in favor for the New Orleans Saints. Some people aren't. Wherever they fall, I just hope that this offense is efficient enough for them to give us something to cheer for. Like keep them in games, not just relying solely on your defense to come through with a turnover or a forced fumble or something. Now, there are going to be games where the defense has got to step up and be the catalyst. But you would like for a game where the offense shows the entire Who Dat Nation that this game is over before halftime. I'm not saying it's going to be like that every week because they have some stiff competition on that schedule. But you want to see that this offense has that defense back. Because to me, over the last couple of years, it's like the things that we've been going through as Saints fans when Drew Brees was the quarterback in reverse. The offense was delivering every single week, and the defense couldn't stop traffic with a stop sign. But now it's like the offense can't move the football, and the defense is out there playing all world. Now imagine if Drew Brees was the quarterback and this was the time where he was in the twilight of his career. Can you imagine how many wins the Saints would have? Possible a Super Bowl appearance. They will have these things. It is time for the offense to catch up with this defense. And when that happens, I think that maybe some magic will happen. I'm not going to say Super Bowl because that's just wishful thinking. I don't think that the Saints are a Super Bowl team. If they become a Super Bowl team, I would gladly eat a big bowl of crow. I will pull up to the table and have a mouthful of crow. But right now, the way that they look, it just seems like this is a figuring out process, and people are trying to keep their jobs like Dennis Allen, and a team is trying to show people that they're a contender. All these things are remaining to be seen right now. But I'm interested to see if the Saints can actually get this offense on track, because Lord knows it is time for this offense it is time for the offense to show up consistently. Not, they scored 32 points. What, they scored 32 points? Like, it used to be, man, the Saints scored 32 points. That's it? But now it's like, man, when the offense going to show up? Like, you looking for some trickery, some magic, some a big play or something. Drawing plays in the sand is becoming passe. Hopefully, there's some offensive innovation that's coming in, get the Who Dat Nation excited. 20 psi, TJ. Yeah, if you had 20 psi, man, you about almost on the side of the road. My goodness. Giving a shout out to Chemo, and Chemo giving a shout out to Keen Arthur. Appreciate y'all boys for being here. Chemo said just all season talk. They have nothing else big to talk about, so they use Latty and AK. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not gonna play that game. I ain't gonna lie to you. I am not. I'm excited. Now, I am excited that Gumbo Pie Sports Podcast is going to be an actual thing starting July 1st. Like, so I'm asking everybody to sign up and subscribe to the Gumbo Pie Sports Podcast channel. No longer, like I said this before, but I'm serious this time. You'll no longer be able to get the State of the Saints podcast on Gumbo Pie. It is going to be all sports, like different NFL teams. If the Saints just so happen to be, the focal point that particular game or whatever, then fine. But you're gonna get a lot more sports from me on Gumbo Pie Sports. But I agree with you, and that's what reason I don't want to play that game. I do not want to play a game where I'm just grasping at straws, just trying to give you all content. I'm just not at that point, and I understand what it means, and some people may not like that, but I just can't do it. You got guys that have an advantage. Like Ross has an advantage. John Hendrick has an advantage. Nick Underhill has an advantage because those guys are around the team. They can kind of make some things happen. They can talk to some folks, and creatively I can do that. But I just feel like I don't want to fall down that rabbit hole where I feel like this is a job. I'm passionate about what I do, so every time I get on here, I just give you all my passion, but I don't want to get to a point where I'm just, let me do this because, I just want to give people a show and nah, I'm not going to do that. I just feel like, quality matters more than quantity in my opinion. Over, the 1,000 episodes that I have put together here on this channel or, on, audio or whatever, I mean, passion has been behind that, right? It's been something that I feel like people wanted to talk about, and it's something that I cared about. So I just can't do it, folks. I know some people like, man, TJ, where you at? I just can't do it, folks. I can't. I mean, I can, but I won't. I won't. Because I don't want to do that. I don't want to be disingenuous. That's why I love doing this show, because the spontaneity of it. TJ, do you think there's an issue with some reporters who use yellow journalism when they don't have a buzz? I think the players are collateral damage for people trying to make a name in the media. Well, let me I think we towards the end of the show, man. So rapid fire, y'all can ask me anything. But thank you, Keen Arthur. That's a good point that you're making there. I just think that, and this was what really bothers me about journalism, and honestly, this to me is the reason why I feel like I have to work so hard to show people that I'm not like others. Like when people see some of my content, they may think that I'm being a character. I am not. But the reason why I feel like sometimes when I ask certain people to come on a podcast, they may not want to do it. They may not have an interest in doing it. Now, some people I just feel like, they just think they hot stuff. Not everybody, but some people you get that kind of impression from them. But thank God, that, the people that have been on the show, man, I can call them back over and over again. They'll come on. But I'm saying that to say this. In society today, people have the wrong idea about creating content and what journalism is all about. Because you have individuals who are the godfather of hot takes like Skip Bayless and Colin Cowherd, who have made millions upon millions of dollars basically just giving opinionated rhetoric, opinionated journalism about certain players that they don't like or certain things that they don't like, like criticizing players to the highest degree. But then you have like people, and shouts out to him, like Stan Verrett, he can't stand that stuff. Like, honestly, like having a conversation with Stan Verrett one time, like he can't stand it. Like, cause he takes so much pride in being informative with his journalism. He's not looking for hot takes. He's just trying to give you what he gonna give you, and there's this clash that's going on. But you have a lot of people that see the success of the Stephen A's, see the success of the Skip Baylesses, see the success of Colin Cowherds, and they say, if I market myself like that, then people will pay attention to me. But here's the issue. If you become that, you have to be that, because people are going to look at you to be that. And that is the reason why, if I'm feeling it, I'm feeling it. If I'm not, I'm not. Because I would have to be, and for podcasters out there, they would have to be that character all the time, or the person that invested in them based on the character they created will lose interest once they no longer look or sound like the Skip Bayless or the Stephen A. Smiths. So to me, those guys have made so much money. Now people want some of that, and they feel like that's true journalism. And it's not. It's not. If you're going to criticize somebody, you got to have some valid points. For example, Skip Bayless talking about LeBron James, arguably the greatest basketball player that ever lived, and talk about how he missed a free throw in the fourth quarter. He not clutch. He got the most points in NBA history to back up all these different things and all these different, stuff that he talks about. But he's speaking to that one person in the barbershop, or that one person drinking their coffee, spitting it out because they can't believe what they just heard. So everybody is kind of following suit. But you got to get in where you fit in. Yes, there's an issue when it comes to journalism. I choose to be the type of person that's informative, witty and funny when necessary. And also, I'm about serious business when I'm talking about doing interviews. I'm not trying to back anybody into a corner. I'm not trying to get that one take that's going to make me go viral. Newsflash to everybody out there. If you go viral once, everybody's looking for you to do it again. And just because you go viral doesn't mean, oh man, all of a sudden, man, you've arrived. Yeah, for a minute, but we know how social media works. It's a speedway. 15 minutes you care about something more than anything else, until that next 15 minutes shows up when somebody else is doing something that you care about even more than the 15 minutes that you cared about that thing. Hope that makes sense. So for all the people out there that's starting podcasts, I'm telling you, this is the best advice I can give you. Stay true to yourself. If you want to write, stay true to yourself. Run your race with blinders on. Focus on what you can bring to the table. And I guarantee you, if you follow that, people can't deny you. They can't. They cannot deny you, because you're so unapologetically you that people have no choice but to feel it. So that would be the best advice. But yes, King Arthur, I do feel like, yellow journalism, sensationalism, all these different things that are going on in the world today, people just want, they basically is like having that big sign, big yellow or big lime sign, and say, look at me. That's what people want. Once again, if you start something, you got to finish it. And if you're not made of it, then it's not going to last very long. They have to use AK in space. That's where he's the most dangerous. Yeah, I mean, look, that's what they got to get back to, Slim South. They got to get back to the things that made Alvin Kamara special. That's why I keep telling everybody, Alvin Kamara is special. You have to use him in a special way. Like it's almost like, I don't know, that car that you don't drive, but only for special occasions, or that jacket that you wear, or that outfit that you put on, those Jordans that you have in your closet up at the top. You know what I'm saying? Like you only pull them out in certain situations. They special for a reason, right? You're not just going to just toss them on and go cut the grass with it, right? Like you got to use this guy in a special way because he is a special player. And I just think that, to me, I feel like it's the team fault that some of us feel the way we do about Alvin Kamara. Because the guy is a football savant, once again. If you're not using a guy who is capable of doing amazing things the way that he should be used to do those amazing things, that's on you. That goes back to the top of the show when I just mentioned. We look at these players and we criticize them and we talk about them and they don't want to be here. Oh man, they always want money. But we never look at the organization and say to ourselves, man, that organization not utilizing that player right. How is it that a player can be first overall? Think about this. A player can be a first overall pick for a team. 2-3 years go by, and that player isn't everything they crack up to be, and it's the player's fault. The question I would have, why are you picking first in the first place? If you're picking first overall, that means your team stinks. That means your organization is not capable of winning enough football games to make the postseason or generate interest from the fan base. That means the fan base more than likely wants the coach's head on a silver platter along with the GM and the owner to sell the team. But we always have a tendency of looking at guys, oh, Justin Fields ain't it. Oh, Jameis Winston ain't it. Oh, like all these different things. But we never look at the organization and think to ourselves, man, maybe the organization isn't doing right by this player. Like Alvin Kamara, once again, didn't just fall off the face of the earth. Go back and look at the offense when Sean Payton was in his bag with Alvin Kamara versus what he is now. And you have to say it's the organization fault in a way that they have, not used him in a way that you should. So that's on them. Like, you can't blame Alvin Kamara on that. If you want, honestly, and I'm saying this with my whole chest, if you're going to criticize Alvin Kamara and say that Alvin Kamara fell off and all that kind of stuff, don't say anything about the organization if the Saints struggle when it comes to coaching decisions, adjustments, etc. I don't want to hear it because you already conceded no matter what the situation is, it's Alvin Kamara's fault or it's the player's fault that they're not being successful. And we see coaches fired every year, B. GMs fired every year, B. We see this. So if we see this, we can't pick and choose when we want to see it. Like, Ish gonna roll downhill. You can't just say, oh, if Ish rolling downhill, oh man, I think that's enough Ish. No, it's still rolling. Nah, but I didn't see enough. No, it's rolling downhill. What are you gonna do to stop it? Is the question. So we got to look at this thing from all sides. What has prohibited Alvin Kamara from being the Alvin that we fell in love with? And to me, I just think it's the offense. It's the offensive scheme and the way that they were utilizing. So let's call it for what it is, man. Based on what we're hearing out of camp, TJ, what's the percentage chance this offense returns to being explosive in your opinion? Well, look, as trash as the offense has been, I don't call them trash, but as lackluster as the offense has been over the last couple of years, you don't have any choice but to go but up, right? I don't know, man. Like, if you got a homeboy that you play basketball with in the gym, and this man can't hit the back of a barn door, and then all of a sudden, like, he works on a bank shot. He just stays in the gym, and he realizes that if he hit the back of the square, the ball will go in, right? Bank shots, as we call them, right? And all of a sudden, like, y'all playing a pickup game, and then all of a sudden you're like, let me get him. And then all of a sudden, like, he go out there, you passing the ball, and he hit one bank shot and another bank shot. Like, okay, all right, man, we cooking with something, right? Now it ain't just on me out here trying to be D Wade in 06 or Steph Curry, with the shot. Now I got somebody that, I could dish the ball down to. Now we cooking with something. So to me, you ain't got no choice but to go but up here. Like, you already had so many struggles. Anything else would be considered lane gap, in my opinion. So I do expect for this offense to look better. I expect for them to do their due diligence. I expect for them to pay attention to detail. And sometimes it's just you need a culture change. You need a culture change. Like sometimes it's not just about the personnel. It's about, you need to switch things up like philosophically here. And I just think that that's what the Saints need to do. The offense that they was running was passe. Like it just was. Like it worked in yesteryear because Drew Brees was an anomaly. He was an outlier. There's a reason why we love him so much. There's a reason why we miss him. There's a reason why some of us probably shed tears when he went into the Hall of Fame. It's because he was special. And when you have special players, you have to understand the reason why you love them so much is because they're special. And they do something that most players cannot do. That is why, honestly, as much as criticism we give Derek Carr, he is not Drew Brees. So he's not going to run that offense the way Drew Brees did because Drew Brees is an anomaly. There's only a few people that you can put in this situation with that offense and will run it like Drew Brees. And very few of them are in the NFL. Right now as we speak, you probably going to have to go to a Eli or a Peyton Manning or Phillip Rivers or something like that. You probably going to have to go to one of those guys. But once again, it's about evolution. It's about change. It's about evolving, right? I mean, we think about the Flintstone cartoons. Like they used to start the car by pedaling their feet. Like you start the car, you got the push button start, you got the key in the ignition, right? The car go vroom, vroom, right? It ain't going, like with the feet. It's evolution, right? So that was a point in time, a moment in time that worked. But eventually, it evolves. And you have to evolve with the times or you're going to get left behind. That's just what it is. So I think the offense is going to look better, King Arthur. I really do. I think the offense is going to be much better. Exactamundo. Tap that like button. Who that nation? I appreciate that, Cartel. Please hit the like button if you enjoy the show. I hope y'all are enjoying the show. Hey, Timothy and the Who That family. What's going on, Pammy? Thank you for being here. It's always a pleasure to see you in the chat. Bad move in coaching and in the front office was why we had those lean years. Yeah, I mean, we got to take it for what it is. And we also got to be honest with ourselves. That's the hardest thing to do. When we love something or we're passionate about something, it's hard for us to look in the mirror and say the thing that we love is not perfect. And, we rather look at other reasons as to why this thing isn't perfect. But to me, the Saints organization has let down these players, in my humble opinion, over the last couple of years. And hopefully this year, everything just kind of comes together. Like we can talk about Mike T ranting on X or Marshon Lattimore not, showing up for OTAs or Alvin Kamara. Not, like we can do all these different things and we can speculate, but we know that the Saints have not been up to par over the last couple of years. And I feel comfortable in saying this, and I don't feel like I'm taking shots at the organization because they too understand that this team has not been up to par. If that wasn't the case, then why is the whole offense different? Why is there a new coordinator? Why is there a new running backs coach? Why is there a new offensive line coach? Why is there a new wide receiver coach? Why is the offense different? Year before that, why is the defensive staff of Dennis Allen completely different? It's because the Saints have acknowledged that they need to change. So I don't feel bad about saying that. They needed a change. It needed to change. So there has been some lean years. They have conceded, regardless if they go to the mic and say, you know what, Who That Nation, you know what, media, we really let down the city. We really let down these fans, that pay their hard-earned money for this team. We ought to be ashamed of ourselves for some of the things that we done. We have the best interests at heart, but I feel like we missing the ball. You're not going to hear nobody say that. Why? Because the first thing about management and business is, you never want to tell people or show people that you're in panic mode. right? Because if you panic, then that means that everybody's going to panic. It's kind of parenting one-on-one, political one-on-one. Like if you up here, like I think Dave Chappelle said this in a comedy special. He said, if you're sitting around talking about bills, you're not going to go up to your kids and say, man, I got so many bills, man. We about to get kicked out, man. The lights about to get cut. You don't want that, right? You want your kids like I don't want my son to care about the things that I care about when it comes to finance. Like I want the most important thing in my son's Paxton's life right now is, Daddy, are we gonna ride my bike around the neighborhood? And that's where it should be. So to me, like I said, you never want to show people you're sweating. You could try to pretend, but unless you're boo-boo the fool here, I mean, everybody can kind of see what you're doing. Like you don't have to come out there and say it. I mean, it's the proof is in the pudding, as they say. Want to acknowledge the girls and the liquor. Thank you very much for the $2. Says TJ was always chasing us back in the day. Yeah, I mean, look, when you're young and and dumb and y'all know how it goes. You just make boneheaded decisions. You just make boneheaded decisions, man. I mean, I can make a whole podcast about some of the idiocy that I did, like when I was at Jackson State. Like seriously, like honestly, like just ridiculous stuff, like just crazy stuff. Like they nowhere in the world at 37 years old I would be doing this today. But like I said, time brings on a change. Like none of us, like especially like if you've been OG in this game. I'm not talking about none of you youngsters out there. Y'all got the world on the string right now. Y'all think that y'all invincible. But start living some life a little bit, and you start to slow down, and you start to realize what's important to you, and the things that you once value, you don't value as much. Josh, thank you very much for the $2. Says TJ, what's your supplement routine? My supplement routine is going to the gym and working my ass off. But protein. I drink a lot of protein, and honestly, I've been on plant-based and stuff, and awesome burgers, awesome meals now. Like I said, man, I mean, for those that don't know, I'm a type 1 diabetic, man. So, man, I had to do some life changes. And, I mean, I've been busting my tail over the last month, like just trying to get my body into some type of shape. And, like I said, I've been thinking about, going vegan, honestly. I've been thinking about going vegan. A lot of meals and stuff like that are available. So, yeah, but a lot of protein, chicken and salads. I work out like 2 hours a day, like every day now, I'm doing something. So, yeah, I mean, but yeah, I just go in the gym and, man, just give it my all. Like I just put my head down and just continue to work, continue to grind. So I'm still not where I want to be, but we all know, man, that just comes with time, Josh. Yeah, that just comes with time. Like I just go up and then, like I said, I just go hard as I can, man. Let me stroll down a little bit, but thank you, Josh. I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. Says TJ, let me find out you spend a lot of time in tropical. Protein is king. Yeah, absolutely. Like, protein is like extremely important. Like that's the thing. And especially like for a diabetic like myself, because it helps me maintain blood sugar. The thing about it is, like, you drink those protein shakes, it'll spike a little bit, but it'll level itself out. Now I'm talking to my diabetics out there. But protein is definitely key. Like, and also, I'm trying to maintain the same weight. I stay between like 220, 225. So you want to eat like chicken and, and fish and stuff like that. And you also want to like, have like maybe like 2,200 calories. I try to stay like 2,200 calories a day. Because, a lot of people think, oh man, you eating that much. But if you're going to the gym and working it out, like it turns into muscle. So, but yeah, protein and protein is key, and not quitting. You know what I'm saying? Like going in the gym and like really being focused. TJ, do you think we have to average between 27 35 points a game combined with elite defense to consider us a contender. Keenan, I think they got to win consistently in order for them to be a contender. I don't think it matters like if you're scoring 27 to 35 points if you're winning football games. I don't think that it matters if you're shutting down half of a field if you're winning football games. Like we know for years, like this team has won a lot of football games with no defense, right? Minimal defense. You know, they won football games with an average offense. You know, like it's about consistently winning. That is what's going to keep your name on the marquee. So I don't think it's about averages. You know, I just think it's about finding ways to win. Like if you look at the Saints, man, they found more ways to lose than to win in most of the games over the last couple of years. Like shooting themselves in the foot. I mean, I can't tell you how many times we didn't use that term. So I just think that it's about consistently winning. And I just think that'll put you out there. I don't think it's a point average because, you know, it's about going out there executing. TJ, consider stepping away from enriched grains, also natural and artificial flavors. It's all chemical, out of body, can't break down. Yeah, I mean, that's what I've been doing too, man. Like I've been kind of cutting back on the fast food. Yeah, man, like I said, man, I've just been kind of, you know, eating like vegan stuff. Like I bought tonight, I bought like some plant-based chicken that I'm going to eat after this show. And, you know, like just awesome burgers. I mean, that stuff is good, man. Look, like I said, I can't believe it's not butter. I can't believe it ain't chicken I'm eating. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like that. Like it's pretty good when you think about it. And then also when you're working hard, man, you don't want to take that for granted. But yeah, man, I'm just cutting back on a lot of that stuff. Yeah, type 1 since 2000. Yeah, man, it's a journey. It's a battle. I mean, like I said, I could have a whole podcast about, you know, stuff like that. Like I said about Jackson State, but also just about my mental when it came to like being diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Like, cause I always pride myself on like being like super athletic, like all this type of stuff, man. And it's just amazing, like how many times, like now, I just think about like not being there for my family or not being around, or you know, man, your boy was like dealing with depression, you know, on top of like some of the things I've been dealing with health wise. And I think that was the reason why, because you know, like when you're dealing with stuff like that, then all of a sudden, man, you might binge eat, you might not be eating the right things. Cause you're so down, you're so depressed. Like, man, you know, I ain't gonna be here long anyway, or I ain't gonna, you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't gonna be healthy anyway. It's, you know, it's a battle with your mind. So, you know, it's, you know, being sick sometimes not always about having a cough or a cold. It's sometimes you can be mentally sick that you have to kind of kick out of whatever funk that you're in. I feel you, TJ, but we can't expect the defense to be optimal week to week. Let's see. So I think we'll end up in some high scoring games. Just saying, we at least need to be capable of lighting it up. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like, well, this is the way I feel, King Arthur. I think I agree with what you're saying. You know, I agree with what you're saying, but I think we're making like two different points here. Like, what I'm saying is, you don't have to like go out there just saying, okay, man, we got to put up 35 points today, right? If it means having to put up X amount of points in order to beat this team on this day, fine. But I just think when it comes to like the question that you asked, like, well, you know, make them a contender is consistently winning and convincingly winning to a point where, you know, you're beating the Kansas Cities, you're beating the Dallases, you're beating the Green Bay on the frozen tundra. You know, you're winning the games that people expect for you to lose. And all the while, like, you know, your offense coming through, like you just mentioned, your defense coming through when necessary. You know, those are the things that I feel. You know, I don't think that 27 to 35 points, you know, a game, you know, is going to just generate wins. Like, it's not going to mean success, in my opinion. I mean, I've seen some teams be able to put up some points, but they ain't winning nothing that's meaningful. I mean, look at the Dallas Cowboys. Like the Dallas Cowboys, for years, basically just making on the fact that they're the Dallas Cowboys. Last year, I want to say, even though they won double-digit games, like nobody cared. Nobody. I guess it's two different situations because nobody cared. Like, oh, y'all got double-digit wins. That's nice. Do something in the playoffs. So they averaged like 32 or plus points a game, but you couldn't beat Green Bay at home. So, yeah, you gaining credibility, but nobody looked at them as a true contender until they beat somebody in the playoffs. The Saints don't have that problem, right? They don't have that. They just have to win consistently, and people will acknowledge them as a contender in NFC. And that's not saying much. It's not saying much at all. Like to me, the NFC is a joke in comparison to the AFC. No disrespect to any NFC player that's watching this right now. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know where the kings of the quarterback position reside. And it's in the AFC. Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen. Like, y'all know where it's at. Y'all know where the money resides, as they say. So it's not like, you got to go through murderous road. Now, a couple of those quarterbacks that I mentioned, you got to play. You got to play Justin Herbert. You got to play Patrick Mahomes. So it's not that hard to be a contender in the NFC as it is to be a contender in the AFC. So all they got to do is just win consistently. And I think people will start acknowledging them and put them up there because right now it seems like they're trying to find a team to be that contender in the NFC. They wanted to be Dallas and Philly so bad. Man, they wanted to be Dallas and Philly so bad. That would be the NFL's wet dream, in my opinion. Watching these guys battle it out in an NFC championship game. Yeah, you can throw the 49ers in there too. Right? For nostalgic purposes. But yeah, they want Dallas and they want Philly in that thing so bad. Like if it can have Dallas and Philly in the NFC championship game or sprinkle a little San Fran up in there, they'll be happy. They, the Minnesotas, the New Orleans, the Falcons, the Carolina Panthers. But man, they can give two shakes of what if these teams ever make the playoffs. Because those aren't the money makers. Sorry, folks. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the NFL don't look at the Saints as the marketable team. They don't. I mean, even with Kansas City, like Kansas City is not a big media market, but they have history on their side. And right now they got the best quarterback in football under center. So Kirk Cousins, DC, and Baker Mayfield are all mid quarterbacks, which makes the NFC South a joke compared to the AFC. Yeah, I mean, look, mid-level average quarterbacks at best. No disrespect, but it is what it is. And when you look at the AFC, it's they contenders, man. Like they fighting for MVP every single year. So yeah, I mean that's where the real quarterbacks reside, man. That's where you can throw Aaron Rodgers in there. I mean, he's in AFC now. So it's murderous row, man. You gotta come with it. Who that, TJ? If you truly look at it, the 49ers are the only team in the NFC that beat us. We can win a game, but they always been better. The 49ers are a special football team. They're a talented football team. They always have been, even in the days of the NFC West, right? Now you just slap around the Saints like, get up out of here, man. I mean, the 49ers are a good football team. I do not hate the 49ers. I just don't. Like, I don't. I know some people, like, they got the issues with the 49ers. I do not. I go back to that divisional round game that broke a lot of our hearts back in, 2012? But I don't hate the 49ers. I don't. I got a respect for teams that consistently win football games. I can't hate on them for that, right? I mean, I find myself being envious of that. Because I want my team to have some of that. So I don't hate the 49ers. I just want, I wish the Saints can generate some levels of success as the 49ers have over the last few years. I think it's definitely going to be a shocker season. Well, if they win more than 8 games, it would be a shocker because nobody expects for them to win more than 8. So, say TJ, this probably don't have nothing to do with the topic, but I see what you mean about some of the Saints fans. Nah, look, I told you this is at the end of the show, so rapid fire. Like, look, I think that we're all passionate about the Saints, but where I get off the bus is when people feel like if you have any level of criticism about the team, then you're not a real fan, or they don't want to hear what you got to say. I say that, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to continue to say it. I'm an acquired taste, and I understand that. Like, I'm not going to just tell you what you need to hear just for me to, get your support. Like, sorry. Like, if I'm feeling what they're doing, I'm going to say it. I'm going to support it, and I'm going to talk about it. If I don't feel like it's necessary or I feel like it's not going to be helpful, I'm going to say something about it. And, like you have some Saints fans that feel a certain way, but, that's on them. Like, I don't feel like loyalty or allegiance should be conjoined by just being absent-minded when it comes to obvious situations and problems that a team faces. Like, you don't do that in any level of your life. Well, you shouldn't. The people that you love the most, you can be honest with because you love them. If my wife is critical of me or something, I don't take it personal. Like, I know she loves me. She just wants what's best. Or she wants me to, make sure that I maintain the happiness that I try to give her. Like, it's no different. But we live in a world today, it's a selective society. We can basically formulate the world that we want to live in, from the politics that we want to believe in, from the things that we want to watch. You can literally pull up any like tinfoil hat conspiracy that you support and put it on YouTube, and you got a whole community of people that feel the same way you do. So some people don't want to step outside of their comfort zone. It goes back to what I was saying about Alvin Kamara, the comfortability level of, I don't want to think like that. I believe in this team. Y'all don't believe, but I believe. And fine, but look, I feel bad for you. I don't want to be a person that just acts oblivious to obvious things. I just don't. And I don't think you should either. Doesn't mean that you love a person any less or love that thing any less. If you question it or you want it to be better, that's evolution. That's life. We all are aspiring to be better, to make more money than we did last year in some cases, to look better, to be more fit, to be more serious about things, whether it's marriage, relationship, job, etc. We are all aspiring to be better than we were on yesterday or last week or last month or last year. So why can't we incorporate that into our football fandom? Because yesterday we had a better football team than we seem to have today. Now, this team in 2024, I mean, it's a question mark right now. It is yet to be seen. But you only can go by what you did yesterday, but it's about evolving, right? It's about evolving and building. So, I mean, it's okay to question the things that are confusing and not pretend that they don't exist because my fandom is conjoined to it. Like, I'll never be like that. Like, some people want to like back me into a corner on social media when I make certain comments. Like, I don't have time for that because I don't think like you. My mama tell you, since I was a child, I've always asked the question why. And I feel like that's the reason why my son asks so many questions today. But I'm always asking the question why. Why something exists? Why is this thing? Like, it got to a point where it became kind of aggravating, like in some people's eyes. But I will never stop asking questions, and I will never stop asking why. If you have to like control yourself from asking a question that you obviously want to know, why would you want to live like that, folks? Why would you want to live like that? That your love and your loyalty is not conjoined with, being oblivious to something. I love the New Orleans Saints just as much as everybody else, but we gonna talk about some of the things that we see that may not be very pleasing to the eye of the Saints fan. But hopefully we'll get to where we want to be, and when we have, shows where we can talk about how great this football team is. I would love to have shows like that. But, in between, we got to have these conversations about how this team can get better in our eyes. And no, we don't have all the answers. And no, we're not, in the locker room or on the field. I get all that. But we know what good football looks like. We know what we expect of this team. And hopefully they can give us what we want. But thank you all so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. I really do appreciate it. Once again, my name is Timothy J. Jones, and you can follow me on X at TJAYJones8. Previous episodes are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM. Thank you all so much. Much love to you for being here. 177 people watching this right now across platforms. I just ask that you hit the like button, share this video, help the State of the Saints podcast grow. We're close to 11,000 subscribers. And if everybody just hit the subscribe button, I think we'll reach that point, right? We'll reach that point before training camp. So if you have not subscribed to the channel, you support the channel, you're always watching, I'm just asking you to hit the subscribe button, hit that like button. And, I would really appreciate that. Shouts out to everybody that's here. The people that couldn't make it live, shouts out to the After Show boys.
Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out to them After Show boys. Shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out, shouts out to them After Show boys. They be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting. Yeah, them After Show boys. They be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting and be posting, they be tweeting. Yeah, them After Show boys.
Shouts out to all the After Show boys, After Show girls out there. Once again, After Show boys, After Show girls t-shirts coming out soon. So shouts out to you all for making the show what it is. Hope everybody has a great morning, noon, night, whenever you're checking out this podcast. And like always, all I got to say is, who that?
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.
Hey, don't let these tears fool you. It's all dog around this mug. I'm good.